Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the NECA Ultimate action figure of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It's got kind of fancy packaging with the picture of Jason on the inside, and the artwork looks like you're looking down on Jason, like, in the ground. You got, like, his tombstone, you know, up at the top, and then, like, the dirt, and then, like, you know, the shovel and stuff laying on the ground. It's a nice little touch. I dig it. My first impression of this figure just outside the box is that it's a pretty accurate representation of the costume that Jason wears in Friday the 13th Part 6. I always dug his look in that film. It always cracked me up that he had like work gloves and a little work belt. But they did a good job with it. I also like the fact that this figure has an unmasked head and that the mask is a separate accessory that you can put on. I think they sculpted the shape of it perfectly. I like that there's little holes in it so you can like see through it as a mask. But they did black out the eye so you do get the dark eye area effect. But the paint is really clean. And I think the softness of the straps is really good. The straps aren't too stiff. It allows you to put the strap over the figure's head. You just have to make sure you put it over the ears. But yeah, it looks great. It rests right on the face and like around the jaw like perfectly. So great job to NECA on that. Just standing there, like he looks awesome. And there's a lot of really good little details to this. As a figure, I think they did a good job on the sculpting of the belt area, including this belt that is sculpted as part of the shirt. But it doesn't read as something like poorly sculpted. It does, you know, the fabric does bunch around the belt, so it does read like a separate belt and not like a blended thing on the shirt. But all the stuff on his belt, you know, like the machete holster, and the looks really good. Wrinkling of the pants looks good, especially around the knees. The fraying of the pants at the bottom, the sculpt of his shoes look good. The paint on the shoes is surprisingly good as far as the separation of the base of the shoe and the top dark brown. But if you look at like his knife holster, just like they sculpted a little stitching around the edge of the holster, and the rivets are all well painted. The yellow and silver and red paint are all good. The little dots on the belt. Great work. And the wrinkling of the shirt area too, and like the seams on it. Really great. Even just the wrinkling around the collar there. NECA really paid attention to the details on this. So kudos to them for that, including the holes in the shirt there. Also, paint on this, on the whole, is really good as far as like, look, you got all the blood splattered on his shirt. You got blood splattered on his pants on the back there. And, well, that looks like he had a little accident in his pants, like he had too much Chipotle. Which can happen if you eat too much Chipotle, actually. And then you get to his head, and I think, Jesus, they did a great job sculpting this. I mean, just look at that. The detail on this is insane, considering it's like a 6-inch, 7-inch scale figure. You know, all the, like, little grooves in his gnarly face, his skull exposed, then the paint on the skull, and the meat, and the green. Really great paint. His one good eye, the teeth, the nose area. I mean, sometimes, every once in a while, like, NECA maybe doesn't nail it. Usually not. I'm a big fan. But in this case, NECA totally nailed the face. I think this is great, great, great paint on NECA's part. Accessories for this figure include his tombstone from the opening scene of the film. I mean, there's a basic little sculpt to it, but I like the darker paint over it. Gives it a good stone effect. He's got an alternate grip hand. The figure already starts with grip hands, but this one's thumb is in a different position. It creates a wider hole. He's got the machete, and he's got a little knife, and I think these are both very well sculpted. The paint is perfect on them. And then lastly, we've got his the little piece of the fence that like gets broken off and jammed into him, and it gets struck by lightning in the opening scene. You have to connect it because it's two pieces, but there's like the charred end after it's been struck by lightning. So nice little detail on NECA's part to include that, because you know that's a detail that you do see in the film, but it's nice that they included, you know, this version of it all burned and warped at the end. But the spear itself, well, if you want to call it a spear, piece of fence, whatever, looks pretty good. Swapping out the hands on this figure is really easy. In fact, the little plastic piece in there isn't like some cheap brittle piece of plastic. It's actually a really good little plug. So I'm really happy that they went with something sturdy in there. Articulation on this figure, worth mentioning, pretty good as far as all the joints go at the knees, the ankles, and you know the torso, but this mid-torso for mine is really loose. I wish it wasn't so wibbly-wobbly there. But good range of motion at the shoulders, the little ball hinge at the elbow. Great range of motion at the head, so that's awesome. This wider hand does allow him to grip stuff like the machete really well. All in all, I'm really digging this figure. Now here's a look at him with the machete and the knife in their respective holsters. I don't collect all the NECA Ultimate figures. Like, for example, with the Terminator 2 ones, they already released like multiple, T800s and T1000s. So by the time they did the Ultimate versions of those, where it's everything you would need from those multiple figures condensed into one packaged figure, I was kind of like, well, screw you, I already bought them all. This is a duplicate. You should have started with something like this. And now they are starting with that, like with the Sarah Connor figure. Like they made multiple Freddy figures and then they did an Ultimate Freddy figure. With this though, they've done Friday the 13th, like part 3, they've done some stuff from the first movie, but this as a whole doesn't feel like a duplicate, like they're not getting your money again. And as a Friday the 13th part 6 figure, I think this is great. I like the multiple hands and the accessories, the detail of the paint, the mask comes on and off. This is a great Jason figure, a really good Ultimate figure. So if you're interested in getting this and you already have maybe another Jason figure or two, I do think this is worth adding to your collection. It isn't a ripoff, and I think it's a really quality, good, well-done figure. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested, follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all that crap. Here are the links.